but it wasn't in here, and I'm like, President of the Wilson School Board, I'd like to call the school board meeting of Tuesday, February 16th to order. Cheryl, roll call, please.
Dr. Shimolevsky.
Here.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Mr. Hoff.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Metzger.
Here.
Mr. Negrini.
Here.
Mrs. Reed. Here. Mr. Wolf.
Here.
9 present, none absent.
Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Moravitz, public participation.
Pursuant to the Sunshine Law and board policy, there's a 3-minute opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items, which is immediately before the agenda, or on non-agenda items, which is at the end of the meeting. It is not question and answer, but is an opportunity for the public to provide information to the board on matters that may come before it.
Thank you. Wilson, good news. I have a memo from George Fiore, who's principal of the high school, and I'm just going to read it so it makes some sense. In September, we were informed that Wilson High School had 3 students that were recognized as National Merit semifinalists. The National Merit Scholarship Program has now determined which students have moved on to the finalist phase of the selection process. I'm proud to announce that all 3 students have been selected as National Merit finalists and are eligible for over $8,000 in scholarships and awards. These students are Liam McNulty, Harrison Tuckerman, and Jenny Z. Wilson High School has been fortunate to have a total of 11 students in the last 4 years achieve these prestigious designations. Congratulations to those 3 students. That's outstanding. And also from Chris Trickett, on Saturday, February 6th, the High School Technology Student Association participated in the regional conference and competition at Conestoga Valley Middle School. As part of the day-long event, 16 students participated in competitions including engineering prototype, speech, technology, problem solving, structural engineering, and animatronics, as well as many others. Wilson students and teams were awarded 8 first-place awards, as well as numerous other place finishes. The team has now shifted their focus on preparing for the state conference in April. Congratulations to those students as well.
I don't know if anybody read in the paper, but in the sports section there was an article on Tom Hott. And he was a past school board member for many, many years. It was a very nice article. In case it,
I missed.
It's going to the Pennsylvania Wrestling Hall of Fame.
so, that's,
Thank you, Mike. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes from February 1st, 2016? Dr. Shimolevsky, second. Mr. Wolf? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 1.0, Treasurer's Report.
Mr. President, I submit the monthly treasurer's report, investment report, and general fund financial reports, which were attached to the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Negrini, roll call, please.
Dr. Shimolevsky.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Hoff.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Negrini.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed. Yes. Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
9 for, none.
Payment of bills.
Mr. President, I submit the following bills to be paid from the general fund in the amount of $1,623,536.42, and from the capital reserve fund in the amount of $62,958.64.
Do I have a second? Mrs. Reed, roll call, please.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Hoff.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Negrini.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed. Yes. Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Shimolevsky.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
9 for, none against.
And the financial reports.
I move we The financial reports are from January 2016 from Wilson Cafeteria, Child Care, as well as the activity accounts from Wilson West Middle School, Southern Middle School, and the senior high school.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mrs. Reed, thank you. Roll call?
Yes.
Four 4.0, ratification approval of the following. 4.1, request permission to ratify and approve the revised 2015-2016 field trip and participants as attached. Do I have a motion for approval? Dr. Shimolsky, second. Mr. Wolf? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5.0, superintendent's report.
Thank you,
Dr. Ruth?
President Ehrlich. Very typical report, has some changes in job status along with some extracurricular additions, and that's my report for this evening.
That was quick. Motion for approval? Mr. Hopp, second. Dr. Shimolsky, sorry. Roll call?
Mr. Martin. Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Consent item, accept with gratitude the following donations. First one, donation of 125 pizza boxes.
Boxes from Santino's Family Restaurant and 500 to 1,000 straws from Starbucks on State Hill Road to be utilized in the elementary school's Discovery Classroom for students, tabletop green screen movie making, and $53.84 from Wells Fargo Community Support Center to Green Valley Elementary. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, second. Dr. Shimolsky. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Under Human Resources, Cheryl, we're going to do these one at a time instead of together. Sure. You ready? 7.1, authorize approval of the Wilson School District and Wilson Education Association collective bargaining agreement effective July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2017 per the attached. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini. Do I have a second? Mr. Hart. Any discussion? Mr. Martin.
Several comments. So just bear with me, this is a little longer than normal for some of you folks. The way funding, education is funded in Pennsylvania, there shouldn't be winners and losers. But unfortunately, there are winners and losers when it comes to education in Pennsylvania. And in this particular case, I believe that the losers are going to be the folks on fixed income, families trying to get out of apartments, struggling. The rate of the increase is substantially above what I believe is reasonable, and I believe it will affect some of our senior citizens. And I take that to heart, and I feel the pain for some of those folks. I've got several emails from them, some of our older citizens, and once again, they have no increase in Social Security this year. It's twice in the last 5 years. And some of these folks are living on $2,000 a month. And you know, I've heard some comments, well, you know, they should move out of their house. But I don't think that's appropriate because they built, well, a lot of what we take for granted. They helped build this country, this community. So I believe that, you know, these folks we sometimes take for granted. And like I said, it's pretty hard to live on $2,000 a month. It's not easy. And honesty and integrity, what does that mean? It means different things to different people. And when I hear there's a gentleman's agreement about it in a document, or there's a gentleman's agreement about a contract, I hold those people responsible for that gentleman's agreement. The board was told that there was agreement several months ago at 3.5%. The board wasn't happy with that agreement, but most of, or I should say the majority of the board, the majority, Steve, please don't interrupt me, Steve. You can, what, Steve, please. I said the majority of the board did not have an issue with that, okay? They thought that was a good way to accommodate the requirements of the raises necessary to keep the contract going forward for another couple of years. Like I said, most board members resolved to that issue, and they thought it was over. Unfortunately, that was not the end of it. Whether it was a negotiation tactic, a misunderstanding, breakdown of communications, I'm not sure. I wasn't part of the conversations. But basically, on my ethics and principles alone, that prevents me from voting favorably on this agreement. Now, to our legislators and our governor. The governor, first the governor, he proposed increase in funding again this year in his new budget. And of course, there's no way of funding at the present time, and we're already in a structured deficit. And of course, we still don't have a current budget. So I'm sure publicity-wise, that's a good thing for him because he's reaching out the heartstrings of parents saying, you know, this is good for education and that it will impact our children. But what he doesn't know or doesn't understand, doesn't care to understand, is that throwing money at education isn't going to be the answer. Education doesn't work that way, especially in the United States. Right now, we currently lead the world in spending on education. I think we're fairly high, spread this out across all education. There's some countries that spend more in secondary, but overall, the United States leads the world in education. And of course, you know, depending on who you talk to, that doesn't bode well for us, considering we lag behind other countries. If you believe in testing as the benchmark, the answer is no. We're not doing a very good job. We seem to put a lot of faith in testing, which I'm not a great supporter of, but it seems we do a lot of benchmarking on that. What the governor does do, he does mislead a lot of the folks, especially the public that's not understanding how, especially in Pennsylvania, funding of schools work. He speaks about how Pennsylvania lags behind in the bottom 10% of funding for education. What he doesn't tell the people is that when you pull in all the resources that Pennsylvania gets from property taxes, from earned income taxes, half of your earned income tax goes to schools, plus the nuisance taxes, Pennsylvania is in the top 10 of states when it comes to educational funding. So I wish he would present a clear picture to the public so they really understand the process that's going on. It's easy to say, talk about education funding, but it's better to know how it's really funded. One of the dumbest things I've heard from his staff, and maybe might be the dumbest comment of the century, was, this is when we were talking about pensions now, he says, this is a quote, "We don't have a pension issue, we have a funding issue." And I'm not quite sure it makes any sense, and really, if that was a simple statement, I kind of went over my head because I didn't quite understand that. To our legislators, we do have a pension crisis, and you need to set aside your differences and work together for a real solution, which does not include raising taxes or taking monies from other programs. For folks that were alive back in the 50s and 60s, back in the late 60s, there was no Pennsylvania income tax to fund schools. There was no local income tax to fund schools. So the premise that throwing money at education is going to improve the system, it's not. It comes down to teaching what is appropriate, and giving the teachers leeway to teach. I believe that when we dominated the world in education, we had teachers that did that. And I don't see just raising taxes to be quite the way to do it. So I would be remiss to the legislators, the governor, if I didn't have solutions or comments, because what good is speaking about somebody if you can't come up with something to support your expectations from yourself. So if the governor gets, or his staff or legislators, they can reach me here at Wilson, and I'd be glad to discuss some of my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any other comments? Mr. Hopp?
Just, I'd like to thank putting the time and effort into coming to terms in an agreement that was recommended to both the board and their union members. I think people truly don't understand the amount of time that board members and the negotiating committee for the WEA put in outside of their normal duties on behalf of the board and their union. It really, it's a testament to them to working towards a common goal of moving forward with the education of our kids. We can all disagree on what's reasonable and what's not. I think that, you know, we know the economy that we're currently in. We know where we've been in the last 6 years. It's gotten better. It's not great. I mean, we also know that the union has taken 0% raises during some of that time period. I think that the agreement that was negotiated was reasonable. I think probably I understand the issues of those on a fixed income. I'm probably the only person in this room who was actually raised by senior citizens on a fixed income. So I firsthand know that. But you have to balance the issues of those on fixed incomes with the issues of running a district too. And I think we're doing a good job at balancing both. So I just want to thank everyone, and I'll be supporting the agreement.
Mr. Negrini?
I think we happen to be one of the few districts that members of a board and members of a teachers union sit down to try to come to a common understanding of how to properly fund and educate our students. And Mr. Hopp alluded to this earlier, that there were members of this board that did negotiations currently. There are members of this board that have gone through negotiations in the past. And despite sometimes having some differences of opinions, that there is a mutual respect between this board and the teachers that work in this district. I'm proud to say that despite having some of those differences of opinions, that there is the level of professionalism that there has been throughout this very long process, and there is that continued mutual respect moving forward so that we can continue to have an open dialogue regarding concerns from both a board's perspective, an administration's perspective, a teacher's perspective, and our taxpayers' perspectives. I personally want to thank Tammy and Mike and Carolyn for their time and efforts in this, as well as Steve Ehrlich and Carol Reeds in this. And like all negotiations, Mr. Martin, sometimes you get very close to reaching an agreement, and whether it's with teachers' contracts or any other contracts, sometimes right at the last minute, certain wrinkles come into play. And it caused both sides to re-examine their positions, and we did so. And we believe in this particular collective bargaining agreement that we're addressing many of those issues. We recognize that there's still some work to be done. So hopefully, after this evening, we can take a deep breath, and then we'll be getting back into this shortly thereafter, obviously, as this is only a 2-year agreement, and we are halfway through the first year. But again, I'm very happy to say that we happen to be a district because I know that there are other districts where that relationship between the board and a teachers union is tenuous at best. So.
I will speak only for myself. Many of you who know me know I put a great deal of emphasis on value. You know, I don't want to spend more than I have to get what I need to get done. And in looking at this, I had to re-examine where our value is in the district. I made a statement in executive session that unfortunately, by the nature of these negotiations, they are adversarial. The WEA is trying to get as much as it can, and as the representative of the taxpayer, we're trying to keep as much back behind closed doors. But when the bottom line hits, the bottom line is that you have to provide the most value for your district. And I think we've done that and will continue to do that, and I will be supporting it.
Anybody else? I'm not going to repeat, what Jason and Jay said are all great points. I too would like to thank the negotiating team. It wasn't always easy, but I think the bottom line at the end of the day is what's in the best interest of the students and how can we provide the best education for the students. We have a lot of great teachers, great administrators in this district. I think everybody feels that way, and I'm glad that we were finally able to get resolution to this. I think it took longer than any of us would have liked, but to hit on Jay's point, during the whole process, we always had open communication. We were always discussing. It never got to the point where the two sides were not focused on coming to a resolution. And is everybody entirely thrilled or happy? Maybe not, but I think this is a reasonable resolution and a reasonable agreement between the teachers union and the school. So if nothing else, I will ask for a roll call. Cheryl?
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed? Yes. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Fitzgerald would like to make a statement.
Good evening. The Wilson Education Association would like to thank the board for this evening's ratification of a new contract and for your continued efforts to provide our students with outstanding teachers, programs, and facilities, and opportunities for success. We look forward to the continuation of our mutual efforts to approach future contract negotiations in a cooperative and collaborative manner that best serves the interest of our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. We will move on to 7.2, request approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Wilson School District and the Wilson Education Association regarding special education teacher compensation effective the first student day of 2016-2017 and ending on the last student day of the 2016-2017 school year per the attached. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, a second. Mr. Wolf, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
3, request approval of the support staff salary increases, which is a 0.5 increase effective July 1st, 2015, which is a total increase for the 2015-2016 school year will be 3.5% for employees of record as of February 16th, 2016. Do I have a motion for approval? Dr. Shulmiski. Second. Mr. Negrini. Dr. Any discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Mrs. Reed? Yes.
Four, request approval of the administrative staff salary increases, which is a 0.5 increase for those who received a 3% increase effective July 1st, 2015, effective July 1st, 2015. The total increase for those previously receiving a 3% increase will be 3.5% for employees of record as of February 16th, 2016. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, second. Mrs. Reed, any discussion on those? I would just like to say that in addition to our teachers, our support staff and administrative staff certainly need to be recognized. We have a great support staff, and a lot of times it's the people behind the scenes and the administrative personnel, and this certainly recognizes their contribution to the district. So, roll call.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shimolevsky?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Ms.
I have a question. Okay, we're good.
Second.
You want me to start everything?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Something came to mind, and
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shimolevsky?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hop?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
No.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed? Yes. Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
8-4, 1 against.
Thank you. Under Pupil Services, 8.1, request approval of the revised 2016-2017 Wilson School District calendar as attached. 8.2, request permission to ratify the contract with Elwyn Opportunity School to provide educational services to one special education student at a rate of $28,956 beginning February 5th, 2016, and ending June 10th, 2016. And this fee includes all related services and costs. 8.3, request approval of the resolution approving and adopting a student discipline waiver and consent agreement dated February 2nd, 2016. 8.4, request ratification of placement of one 17-year-old Wilson High School male on February 9th, 2016 into the Wilson Virtual Academy at a cost of $375 per course for a total of $1,875 per semester. 8.5, request approval of a resolution approving and adopting student discipline waiver and consent agreement dated February 4th, 2016. 8.6, request ratification of placement of one 17-year-old Wilson High School male on February 9th, 2016 into River Rock Academy at a rate of $110 per day. 8.7, request approval of a resolution approving and adopting student discipline waiver and consent agreement dated February 8th, 2016. 8.8, request ratification of placement of one 16-year-old Wilson High School male on February 10th, 2016 into River Rock Academy at a rate of $110 per day. And 8.9, request permission to approve the adoption of a settlement agreement and release to directly pay the Hillside School tuition for the remainder of the 2015-2016 school year up to but no more than $11,000 prorated tuition cost plus transportation as long as the student remains a resident of the district, and directly pay Hillside School up to but no more than $23,100 for the tuition cost plus transportation for the student to attend Hillside for the 2016-2017 school term within 30 calendar days of the satisfaction of both of the following conditions: full execution of the agreement by the parties and the district's receipt of substantiating documentation of such costs. The district shall pay directly the law offices of Mark Voigt a sum not to exceed $4,000 in full satisfaction of documented attorney fees and costs within 30 calendar days, and to settle and comprise all claims raised by the parents of a special education student, and to authorize the board president and secretary to execute the agreement on behalf of the district. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Negrini, second. Mr. Hop? Roll call, please. One, request approval of the capital reserve project list for the 2016-2017 school year. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, do I have a second? Dr. Sholomuski? Oh, Mr. Metzger, sorry. Any discussion? Yes.
Highlighting the proposed capital projects, several of the items on there are follow-ups with
security camera upgrades at many of the remaining buildings that have not received those security camera upgrades. There's your typical roof repairs from time to time on Berkshire Heights. But the highlight of the upgrades are twofold. One, at the lower house, we are seeking to approve an iSTEM classroom improvement of $65,000. The idea behind that is to have a centralized location for our iSTEM Academy. There have been tremendous efforts made by the teachers, Mr. Fitzgerald being one of those. They've done an excellent job of seeking out and obtaining grants and gifts from local vendors. So there is a significant amount of money, $65,000 geared specifically for that project. And then lastly, the largest item on the capital project is Southern Middle School. Gym floor refinishing and gym bleacher is being replaced, but the stadium upgrade over at Southern. We have made a concerted effort over the last few years of assuring that our students, regardless of what building they go to, elementary-wise or middle school, that they are provided with essentially the same opportunities and the same true facilities. And it seemed for years that Southern, for lack of a better term, was not receiving the same consideration that West had. And we've done, over the last 2 years, repairing tennis courts over there. And the most significant cost here for the Southern Middle School upgrade is for the stadium upgrade. That has been a cinder track since its inception. The bleachers over there are in considerable disrepair. To upgrade those particular bleachers now will require them to be ADA accessible. They are not as of today. And the cinder track will be replaced by an all-weather track so that essentially moving forward in the 16-17 school year, that our students over at Southern will essentially have everything that the students over at West have. And that is the highlight of the capital projects proposed for 16-17.
Mr. President, I just wanted to chime in on that. As the representative from the board to Wilson Southern for a few years now, and obviously myself and Mr. Negrini both attended Southern. This board strongly feels that the importance of equal facilities and equal education at our middle schools. I know many might be an overstatement, a vocal minority in our community might feel differently. But I think that we're time and time again putting our money where our mouth is, that we insist that all of our students at Wilson, no matter where they live, will have the same opportunities, the same facilities. It might take some time. I mean, at one point, Wilson Southern had much better facilities than Wilson Central did. And it all comes back to fruition. this time. So, I mean, we have a renovated auditorium at Southern, the plans and construction of a courtyard consistent with West, stadium facility consistent with West, and most importantly, we have 2 middle schools on the school watch list academically that are in the top of this Commonwealth. So not only from a facility standpoint, but from an academic standpoint, they are truly equals. And I can't be more proud of that. So I just want to thank this board for kind of putting that period at the end of the sentence and getting this equality done at Southern. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, and we've discussed this at the board in public before, that this was one of our goals was to make sure that our facilities at all our schools are as equal as possible. And as Mr. Hopp indicated, it doesn't always happen at the same time, but we're where we need to be, and this is long overdue. I ran on that cinder track many years ago, and it's time to replace that.
You know what, though, Mr. Eric, when I run on cinder track, though, I sound fast. Even though I'm not fast, I sound fast.
I still have a cinder in my one hand from the cinder track at Wyomissing from falling on that, so, but.
I have to say, I don't even think the paint was dry on West before we were talking about what we were going to do for Southern. Because I remember going to the night that West was open, and I had just been elected, and that was the buzz, what's going to happen with Southern. And, you know, it did take a while, but we're getting there. Almost done. Go back to that value thing.
So, I think unless there's any other comments?
I just have a brief comment, if you don't mind.
Yep, go ahead.
I'd like to echo your fellow board members' comments regarding the good works that we were planning to do at Southern. But in addition to that, I'd like to make note of and not lose the fact that site that, as Mr. Negrini said, one of the significant upgrades that we're doing with the quad is to continue to upgrade and improve our security systems and our lighting systems at our building. And I want to thank the facilities committee for really not dropping the ball on that. Safety and security is a huge issue for our students, and it's one that this board takes very seriously. The platform that I partially ran on when I ran for office, and I just wanted to thank you for continuing your dedication and effort to ensuring that our students have a safe place to
Thanks. Roll call.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hopp?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Under Finance, 11.1, request approval of the budget transfers dated January 14th through February 10th, 2016. Motion, Dr. Shemowski. Second, Mr. Martin. Roll call.
Mr. Hopp?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed? Yes. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shimeleski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
9-4, 9.
Under Transportation, 13.1, request approval of the transportation contract with New Roads Transportation to transport one Wilson student attending the Vista School for the 2015-2016 school year at a cost of $100 per day, effective January 5th, 2016. So, Dr. Second, Mrs. Reed. Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Child Care, 15.1, request to approve the 2016 Summer Berkshire Heights contract, non-subsidized. 15.2, request to approve the 2016 Summer Berkshire Heights contract subsidized. 15.3, request to approve the 2016 Summer Berkshire Heights Parent Guidelines Handbook. 15.4, request to approve the 2016 Summer School Age Contract Non-Subsidized. 15.5, request to approve the 2016 Summer School Age Contract Subsidized. And 15.6, request to approve the 2016 Summer School Age Parent Guideline Handbook. Do I have a motion for approval? Mrs. Reed, Mr. Martin, second. Roll call?
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Negrini.
Request approval to set the extracurricular activity fee for the 2016-2017 school year at $100 per student. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, second. Mr. Wolf, any comments?
in the county.
Would not be the highest activity fee within Berks County. It would still be a couple schools out there that charge more than we do. The nice thing with our structure, we talk about value of the fee. For our students, a lot of value in the fact that they only have to pay this activity fee one time, and it's for unlimited extracurricular activities. So it encourages our student athletes and students to really get involved. So
Thank you.
And Ms.
and it does range. Just, if I remember the specifics, between no activity fee to up to $150 per student, plus an additional fee if they're playing per activity. We also took a look at, from a budgetary standpoint, Mr. Kaufman broke it down. Our least expensive activity at this point, I believe, is middle school cross-country, and it costs us about $115 per student at that activity. So, again, just an effort to try to remain as budget neutral as we can with our extracurriculars moving forward.
What's about the average per?
Extracurricular activity cost per student? I know it's really variable.
Boy, that's,
Because those football guys.
Well, if you could come up with that number, it'd be nice to know, because I'm sure it's a lot less than $100.
They barely have.
Oh, a lot more, excuse me. I misspoke. All the stress tonight, I'm sorry.
and Mr. Wolf, we have, correct me if I'm wrong, we have not revised our activity fee now for three years. Is that correct?
We did discuss, though, we're going to be, I think every 2 years
Every
now,
other
we're
year,
going to be,
correct.
we're going to be taking a look at it. And my comment during these discussions was, I can't wait for the day where it only costs my kids $100 to play a sport at this point. So I'm gladly pay that compared to what's out there right now in the private sector.
We will save money when our kids go to middle school.
I will.
I can tell you, it doesn't get you a month of music lessons for one kid, so.
Unless there's any comments, roll call.
Mr. Negrini.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed. Yes. Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Mr. Early.
Yes.
9 for, none against.
Under policy, and there's no vote, as these are both first readings, policy 121, field trips as revised, and policy 121.1, overnight foreign field trips, which is new. And again, both of those are first readings, so there's no vote. Committee reports, Berks Career and Technology. Mr. Metzger.
The next meeting for the JOC of BCTC is next Wednesday, the 24th. It will be at 7 o'clock p.m. at our, excuse me, West Campus, I believe. Yes, West Campus. That is all.
Thank you. Berks County IU, Mrs. Reed.
7 o'clock.
Thank you. Berks AIT. Curriculum, Mrs. Reed.
Next meeting is tomorrow, 4 to 5, right here.
Extracurricular, Mr. Wolf.
An update as we start to wrap up.
Our winter sports, boys basketball finished in Berks County play at 16-8. They will start their first round of District 3 playoffs tomorrow night at Northeastern. Girls basketball finished at 14-10, also starting first round tonight at Central York. Our boys bowling finished 34-8, and they have BCIA individual tournament today and Thursday. Girls bowling finished 9-33, BCIA individual tournament tomorrow and Friday. Boys swimming finished undefeated 11-0 and are Central Penn League champions, so congratulations to them. Girls swimming finished 10-1 and also Central Penn League champions. Wrestling finished 18-5. They are in District 3 sectionals this Saturday at Governor Mifflin. And our rifle team finished 4-8. Their season is complete, but ended on a highlight. Danny Beard won the Lancaster Lebanon League individual rifle tournament with a perfect score of 200, so somewhat equivalent to our 2 300-game bowlers a couple weeks ago. So congratulations.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, in our meeting this morning, that bullseye is about this big.
Yeah.
That
Very,
young
very
lady
tiny.
had every grouping right there. I just hope I never get her upset.
Our neighborhood. Mary Walker also, back to our swimming team as an individual accolade. Mary Walker won the Central Penn League diving title for the second year in a row, so congratulations to Mary as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Facilities?
Just to add on to what we had previously voted upon regarding capital projects, we received a pool report update from Aaron Goodhart-Kurtz, our aquatics director. There had been some concerns over air and water quality during the fall. Since taking over that position, she has gone through the entire facility, and there have been some work done on the dehumidifier. We had the subcontractor come out, take care of that. She had found that during the time period that she was looking at the facility, that some of the bulbs have been used more heavily than what necessarily other pools may have to entail. So those bulbs had to be replaced. She's keeping an eye on that. And the water quality of the pool has increased, as well as the ventilation system that pulls off the chloramines was not running properly. So during the very early part of her job here, she has been hands-on with that to address some of these concerns. It's typical of a new pool, of a learning curve with all of the high-tech gadgetry that we have. But she reports, and having a child that uses that facility often, haven't heard any concerns over the last few months since the fall reports had come in regarding those concerns with air and water quality. So happy to also report that we are finalizing all of the punch points with the facility and taking care of the contractors that have addressed some of the pooling of water issues, I think, behind the blocks on one side near the boys' locker room. So we're happy to say that it appears that that pool has everything taken care of at this point, and very happy that Erin has been involved as much as she has since taking over. So that's my report.
Thank you. On finance, as the board knows, at last meeting, we approved the refinancing of some of the bonds, and we're in the process of execution of the placing those, and the early returns on the first tranche are very, very good, better than what we were hoping. So as those get done, there's 3 tranches, correct? There's 3 tranches. We will report to the board what the savings to the district is, but knock on wood, based on the pricing of the first tranche, Diane and I are anticipating that we're going to, savings to the district will be greater than what we had anticipated, so that's good. That's the extent of my report. Human Resources, Mr. Allen?
No report.
Legislative?
I really don't have anything to say. I really don't.
Public relations.
The spring issue of the Wilson's Pride Community Newsletter is being finalized and will be sent to the printer this week. It will be mailed the week of March 7th. The Wilson High School Honors Internship Program Kickoff Breakfast will be held next Thursday, February 25th, beginning at 7:30 a.m. at the Crown Plaza, Reading. If the board has not RSVP'd yet, please let Kristen know by tomorrow. The outreach program has already led to some great connections with employers for the students for 2016-17 school year. And also, Kristen has reached out to the media regarding the new wellness sessions that were incorporated as part of the Professional Development Day on Friday for possible coverage. So that's the end of the report.
Thank you. Education Foundation, Mr. Negrini?
As we had mentioned at previous board meetings, the budget stalemate has affected the EITC program. Last week, the Department of Community and Economic Development issued official finalized approval letters for EITC applicants that received conditional approvals on December 24th, 2015, and as a result, the Wilson Education Foundation has received a few additional contributions, and they're anticipating more within the next week. The Education Foundation Governance Committee finalized and sent a new board survey, which will be used to develop a board matrix and expand committee involvement. Ms. Kramer is working with Steve Good currently on planning the Wilson Education Foundation academic summer camps, and they should be finalizing the catalog within the next few weeks. And lastly, the Iron Chef, as mentioned previously, is Sunday, April 10th, 1 to 5 at the Wilson High School. There has been a committee meeting on February 9th. Ticket sales are off to a great start, and they continue to add additional restaurants to commit as food vendors. And that is the Ed Foundation report.
Thank you. Technology.
No report.
Gabby is not here, out of action, so Mr. Maravich?
No report.
Cheryl, any public participation on agenda items? And non-agenda items? Any public participation? Other business? Okay.
When Matt was talking about the young lady that had that perfect score, I was on my way up to New York today listening to a radio station, and they had a Marine there talking about sharpshooters, and surprisingly enough, women outscore the men. It's just a coincidence. Did you? Okay, I assumed it was odd. The other thing is, I got an email from Jason on a good article concerning Chicago's schools and the systems and the problems with pensions. And, every state has this issue, so I hate to keep dwelling on it. Pennsylvania just can't do what Chicago's doing and do nothing. It's not going to work. That's it.
Thank you. Any other business? If not, motion to adjourn. Dr. Chemwiski, second. Mr. Hart, thank you.